Yo guys, what is up? Max on Borderlands 4 video, and today we're going over this week's patch notes that include a bunch of weapon buffs, as well as the weekly resets where Maurice's and more. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Let's get right into it. So we've got a little dev note to start. This update for Borderlands 4 refreshes the weekly activities, adjusts some legendary gear values, and addresses concerns reported by the community. After last week's large set of changes, we wanted to focus on some smaller gear adjustments. We're continuing to monitor feedback to the Vault Hunter changes and identifying areas to make further improvements. Looking forward to next week, we're planning another round of adjustments that will focus on class mods, rep kits, shields, and firmware being tuned to provide greater viability for melee builds and account for deficiencies in other specific Vault Hunter builds. We'll also address unintended interactions in certain Vault Hunter skills and make adjustments to overperforming gear. Okay, wow. So we're going to see our first nerfs really next week. Importantly, next week's update will include a host of improvements to stability, performance, and some highly requested quality of life changes. So it sounds like next week is like the big patch. Bunch of stuff to class mods, rep kits, buffing melee builds, buffing class mods, addressing unintended directions, nerfing gear. Also, this patch is currently live as of recording this, and then we get to the change list. The weekly activities are all getting changed. The big Encore boss, the weekly wildcard, and Maurice's Black Market Vending machine. We'll go over that later. Let's talk about gear balance. So for gear balance adjustments, they're mainly focusing on pistol adjustments. They buffed the Ruby's Grass damage by 50% and the fire rate of the Ruby's Grass by 25%. This was already a pretty solid TDR, honestly, so I think it should be really good with a 50% damage increase. They also buffed the Bully pistol, its drone damage increased by 50%, and its base damage increased by 50%. I had this as an honorable mention in our top 5 pistols list. I thought it was actually pretty good, especially on a build with high fire rate. 50% base damage increase means that this should be one of the higher or highest DPS pistols, I'd imagine. Very excited to check that out. The rangefinder got its base damage increased by 30%. Rangefinder is a bit awkward of a pistol. It does decent damage, so this should be solid. I think it probably needed a little bit more. Then we get to the Queen's Rest. Queen's Rest spawn chance increased from 30% to 50%. Spawn chance for its ricochets, and its fire rate increased by 50%. I had this as the number 2 pistol on our top 5 list, so it getting a 50% fire rate is huge, especially because it's a Torg sticky weapon. So if you can fire quicker, you can put more stickies on faster. More stickies, more damage. So this is also pretty awesome buff. They buffed the 7th Sense orb damage by 250%. The 7th Sense, already a very solid pistol, but you never really noticed its orb damage. It was just a good pistol because it had good base damage. Now with the 250% on its orb, this was my number 1 pistol. I think this is going to be sick. Can't wait to go get that. By the way, on the 7th Sense, you can get it with a Daedalus part. So you can get a Daedalus shotgun, 7th Sense, and then it kind of turns into a masher pistol. So in my opinion, that's going to be the God roll 7th Sense. They buffed the Hellwalker's base damage by 30%. Definitely think this was needed. It was feeling a little bit weaker after they changed it to fire. And then the change that I was not expecting at all out of the blue is they buffed the Convergence base damage by 25%. Convergence is, in my opinion, top 5, personal top 5 legendaries in the game. It is so good on Harlow. It's great on Ranger Rafa. Just a really good shotgun. So to see it get buffed by 25% is crazy. For the additional changes, they changed the legendary TDR shotgun Anarchy was adjusted to properly award stacks of mutualism when auto reloading or killing enemies. The Anarchy gets tons of extra damage if you can complete its mag and then reload or kill enemies, which apparently it wasn't working properly. And then they also said that all pets from all classes, such as Trouble, Specters, Reapers, and Forge weapons, now properly gain critical hit chance from passives and gear. I was not aware that that wasn't working, but should be a small buff to companions. And then they made an adjustment to Vex's bleed. They made an unintended change to this last week, where bleed was not counting as a status effect, which was technically a bit of a nerf. However, it is now back to counting as a status effect. It sounds like bleed might get adjusted in the next patch to not infinitely stack with crit. However, this is technically a little bit of a, well, not really a buff. It's a fix to what it used to be and how it was on launch. For the weekly reset, our wildcard mission is null and void. This is invisible, leaking, and chromatic. So all the enemies will be invisible. Don't love that. And it's rewarding the Phantom Flame pistol, which is a pretty solid pistol. Would have loved to see it buffed today, honestly. The big Encore machine is Directive O. Directive O drops the Whiskey Foxtrot, the Bonnie and Clyde, and the Rowan's Charge, all decently solid assault rifles. They did confirm that they're going to be buffing up assault rifles next, so if you want to get ahead of that, Directive O would be a good one to farm. Directive O is also going to be a really good phosphine farm if you're hunting for phosphines, as only weapons can drop as phosphines, and he's got 3 of them, so your chance of getting phosphines are going to be like much higher if you're farming him versus a boss that like only drops 1 weapon and like a grenade and a shield, for example. For Maurice's Black Market Vending Machine, you're going to want to travel to the Lockaway Safe House and then just head up this river. We're right near the like deadbolt on this map in the Groaning Core point of interest. You're gonna want to come to like the middle of this lava pool lake, and then up here, if you get in the like very middle, there's a little grappling point which will bring you up to Maurice's vending machine. I haven't checked mine yet. Let's see if I got anything good. I've got the Pandoran Memento and a Lucky Clover. Oof. I keep getting bad weeks. Everyone's week is going to be different in the Maurice's Black Market Vending Machine, so make sure you check yours. If you get something really good that has like a variance of rolls, you can come and check this vending machine like every 30 minutes, and the rolls will constantly change. I unfortunately got very unlucky this week with 2 pretty bad weapons and shields, but yeah, that is where you find Maurice's Black Market Vending Machine. The last thing to talk about is Gearbox mentioned that in the upcoming patch, they're going to be doing a ton of highly requested quality of life features. I made a list with my chat on some quality of life features that we wanted to see changed, and we sent this to Gearbox like I'd say a week or 2 weeks ago. Just wanted to go through it with y'all if there's anything that you think we should add to this list. But for some quality of life changes to Borderlands 4, I'd love to see a loot filter, basically a way to, if you're looking for like Deadeye firmware, if you're looking for Jacob's licensed parts weapons, you could have a little filter menu where you could make those things highlight on the ground for you, which would be sick. A full minimap and a legendary items to show on it, making SDUs account wide. I'm not sure if I love this or not, but the ability to like TP to Encore machines, I don't think we need that in the open world, but maybe you could just like TP to the bosses that are at the end of areas, such as like being able to TP to Soul or TP to Callus. Weighted class mods still don't feel very good to farm. It feels like you're constantly getting things not for your class. I'd love to see them increase the class mod drop rates for your character. Separate storage for firmware. Right now, firmware is a bit of a pain. I really like the firmware system, but collecting it, storing it, and using it on different pieces of gear is a bit of a hassle, so I'd love to see them improve that. Updates to lost loot and lost loot prioritization so that you're not constantly getting like greens and blues in there. An auto sell feature, a dialogue skip feature, sharing challenges between characters. They did confirm that the Phosphines challenges are going to get changed. I'd love to see modifier balance or removal of 2 modifiers, particularly Elemental Eater and Centripetal, or just toning these modifiers down a bit. Sometimes, like, for example, if you're playing a build that does bonus damage, like you've got bonus cryo damage on Amon, even if you're shooting a fire weapon against a cryo Elemental Eater, you literally just can't kill them. And that's not like your fault. You can't go like change or remove that, like that's part of your build. So I find Elemental Eater quite frustrating. I'd love to see them remove the cooldown on the Echo 4 navigation, so you can just constantly have it up. There's no reason that you shouldn't just be able to constantly look for that. Reduce the Suicide Ripper grenade damage. Currently, these like Suicide Ripper bombers will run at you, they'll dive, the grenade will go flying. Even if you jump back, sometimes the grenade rolls towards you, and it one-taps you most of the time. I'd also love to see a bank search feature. Bladed weapons currently do not increase melee damage. That means that your builds and build crafting for melee is pretty weak right now because there's really nothing to hold in your hand to benefit your melee weapons. We had like really cool bladed weapons and specific weapons that increased melee damage in past Borderlands games. I'd love to see that return. Text chat for multiplayer. Also, let me add and shared co-op progression. And then also larger incentives to farm the weekly mission. Maybe like 500, honestly, Iridium a run. Currently, the weekly activity or the weekly wild card, if you don't really care about the weapon, like let's say You don't really need a Phantom Flame, and honestly, like farming Pango and Bango would be a faster way to get it. I don't really see a reason or incentive to run these wildcard missions. I haven't really run many since the game launched, so just like buffing up these to make them more worthwhile, I think would be sick. I'd also think it'd be cool to see the like Moxie's Big Encore machine change from being one boss a week to maybe one boss in each region a week. Could be kind of cool. So there's one big encore in the Fade Fields, one big encore in Carcadia, one in Terminus, and then like one in Dominion. Could be really cool. But yeah, that's kind of our list of quality of life changes. Let me know if there's anything that I'm missing on there that you'd like me to add. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.